Okay, moving on now to the record-keeping requirements of what you need for an independent contractor for employees. So what records would be important to have for an independent contractor to prove up that relationship, that you really don't care how they do it as long as you have the product or the service delivered per the contract that you've signed with them? Well, some records might be that you would want to have in the file. You'd want a W-9, they're 1099 at the end of the year when you prepare that in January for the prior year, a copy of the contract or the purchase order. Maybe you want to have proof that they are a real business. In other states beyond Texas, some states require every business to have a license. So you might want to have a copy of a license, or if they are a licensed profession in the state of Texas, you might ask for that. Or know that, do your due diligence from looking at their website, or have their business card. Just something, the more you have in the file to prove up that they are an independent contractor, the better you'll be. Again, this is all if and when you're audited. So some other things, maybe the certificate of insurance. And now I want to bring this to your attention, that if you do not have a W-9 in your file, then you are supposed to do backup withholding on that first check that you cut to them at a rate of 28%. So say the invoice was $1,000, 28% of that is $280, so you cut a net check of that difference. That person's not going to be happy if they were expecting that $1,000. Now, when is this really done? You want to get the W-9, which you can get from irs.gov, when you have the contract signed, when you know that you're going to do business with this person, just hand them the W-9 to have them to fill out. Now, those of you who work in this way, wouldn't it be really cool if you just had that W-9 already completed and you knew that you were supposed to get a 1099 at the end of the year? Just give that piece of paper to the person you're working with. That'll solve a lot of problems in the end. So this is a big deal there, cracking down on W-9s to have in your file. This misclassification of workers, meaning between employee and independent contractors, is a bigger and bigger and bigger thing that the IRS and the states are cracking down on. So you want to have the right documentation in the file to prove up that particular relationship that you have. So this is what the 1099 looks like when it's completed. You fill in your name and who you paid, and then box 7 is where you would put the amount that you had paid to them. Now this form needs to be completed once you pay your person $600 or more in a calendar year. However, if you pay them less, you can still issue the 1099. It doesn't mean that once I get to $600, you have to issue it once that payment for the year reaches that total. So if you had to do backup withholding, there is a box here that you would put that in, which is box number 4. Now these have to be completed by January 31st. So for this year, it would be January 31st of 2017 for payments made in 2016. And this lovely color red, this has to be submitted on this form. You can't download it from your printer and print out a nice colored red copy. There's something about this ink, about it being machine readable, that you have to use these original forms. You can get them at the office supply store, or you can file online. So for employees, what records would be important to have in their file? Well, the W-4, I'm sure everybody has filled one of those out somewhere along the way because you've worked for somebody else. So that's all about what's your name and your address and your social security number. And then how do you want your income tax figured on your paycheck? You know, if you put single and 0, married and 2, you know, whatever that is, that's what this W-4 is. So it's the employer is being told how to figure your payroll check and then where to mail it and so on. The W-2 is what you get at the end of the year, so I want to keep that in my employee records for you. And I-9, again, is about determining that you're legal to work in this country, and there's certain documentation that you have to provide the employer to prove that up. New hire reporting, the state of Texas, you have to file within, I think it's 20 days from the date of hire that you have brought this person on, and that's basically name and social security number. And so and all states have that. And what's the purpose behind this? The main purpose is, this is the way that the states can track where you're working for child support payments. Social Security verification, there's a system that's called E-Verify that you can go online and complete to make sure that the Social Security number that your worker has given you matches his name and so on. All the payroll records, time records, how you figured the payroll check, copy of perhaps the check register and so on, what goes into that, and I have some more detail on that later. The job description, what has this person been hired to really do? Is he really doing the job that he was hired for, he or she? So anything else that you might keep in the file for employees? Well, that might be the medical records that they would submit to you, the insurance, any fringe benefits that you might offer to them, and you have to make sure that the I-9 is kept separately. That can't be in the employee file. So all I-9s need to be kept in a separate file, separate from the employees. And that's just a rule that we have to follow. So, some other things might be performance evaluations or what's the word? I can't think. If there's been an issue on the job, follow up to employment evaluations or performance reviews. And so be sure that the right people have access to these files. Don't keep it all in one file unless you're a very small company and you are the owner and you're the only one that cares about it. But if there's supervisors out there, they have no right to see some of this other information. So be sure that the right person is looking at the right information and does not have access to information that they don't have the right to see. So for the state of Texas, here's a list of things that TWC, the Texas Workforce Commission, requires you to keep in the file. And so you can just look down through here and make sure that you're complying with that. But the big picture is, name and address of each employee unit. So this is the employer's information that TWC is looking for. And this is the information that TWC is looking for about your employees. So we won't go over that. There's your list to create a checklist for yourself. So in an audit, the TWC could ask for all of these kinds of information because they're looking for misclassification. They're looking for people who have been treated as independent contractors or paid as independent contractors when they really should have been paid as employees. And so it seems to be quite extensive looking into your tax returns and so on, but these things give them some clues of how you run your business. So if they have some questions that are popping up, this will open some doors for them to continue their investigation. So just have it all. You in business to do it right, to make a profit. So don't stress out over all of this stuff. Just know these are the checklists and this is the systems that you need to create. How about that?
I'm learning some stuff.
Hey!